There are some psychological tests. Through this psychological test only, we will gather the information from the client or the patient. Here, one way of collecting information is psychological tests. Okay. So there are different type of psychological tests. One is individual test and group test. Individual test means the test will be conducted only by one individual patient. So this is the individual test. Group test means the test will be conducted with the whole group within the same time, in the same period. That is group test. So in collecting the information, the psychological tests are some type. They are individual, maybe individual test or group test. Sometimes we will give the group counseling. In this group counseling, we will conduct the test, maybe any psychological test with a large group. Okay, so that is nothing but the group test. One is individual test, second is the group test. And another type of psychological test in collecting the information is paper pencil test and performance test. Paper pencil test means the test will be given with the help of the paper and pencil. That means it is a written test, you can say. Okay, paper pencil test. Second one is performance test. Performance test means some activity will be given to the client or the patient. To the activity only, they will complete their test. So one is individual or group test. Second is paper pencil or performance test. Third one is the verbal and non-verbal test. So in verbal test, there will be some language. There should be some written way of giving the test. But whereas non-verbal test, no need of any writing work. It is non-verbal test. Non-verbal test, maybe some shapes will be given to complete.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Which unit you are doing?
Hello.
Which unit you are doing, sir?
Fourth unit is.
Okay, sir.
Methods of collecting information from the client.
Okay, sir.
Methods of collecting information from the client. In order to get the information from the client, we have to follow these methods. The methods, some methods of the psychological test. These psychological tests are some types. One is individual and group test.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, could you please pull that curtain behind you, sir? It's so much of glare.
Disturbance is there?
No,
glare.
Curtain behind you. Just pull it little, no?
Close that properly.
So, am I audible?
No,
you are audible. Glare is coming. Glare. Pull the curtain, sir. Curtain koncham full vera.
Is it okay now?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So these type of tests is these group and individual tests. Some are the language tests, or you can say these are the performance tests. And fourth one is the informal test and standardized test. Informal or standardized test. Informal test or standardized test. This informal test is no need of any standardization procedures like a teacher test, teacher-based test, you can say. Standardized test means there should be some rules and regulations of conducting the test. That means there should be validity, reliability. These are all known as the standardized test. Another type of test is speed test and power test. Speed test means some time limitations will be given to the client. Within the time limitations only, the client is supposed to complete the test. So it is a test of speed. Another test is power test. In power test, our task is made. No need of any limited timings. Time is not the criteria here in the power test. So these are all the various psychological tests in collecting the information from the client or the patient. Some methods are there without any test. That methods are known as non-test methods. Some are the psychological test methods which we discussed now. But now we are going to discuss non-test method. There is no need of any test, no need of administering any test to the client or the patient. These tests means one is case history. One test of non-test is no need of any test. It is a case history. Case history means one is case history, second is autobiography, third one is editorial records, fourth one is rating scales, fifth one is questionnaire, sixth one is cumulative records, second one is, next one is social metric. These are the different tests without any procedures, that is known as a non-test method. The some methods of collecting the information from the client. So first one is case history. In case history method, we will collect the total information related to the client or the patient. For example, if the patient is the problem of the main issue of the patient or the client is the speech delay or some autism or maybe some other issues. So the collecting the case history, we need to ask the client or caregivers of the patient. So since how long this issue is occurred, that we need to ask the client or the caregivers of the patient. Okay. When we are collecting the case history, any previous hospital history also we better to collect. So it is the first time that they are coming to the client or any psychiatric hospitals, or before that any counselor or hospitals they concerned. So these are the details we need to take in case history. After taking the brief information related to the issue or the problem, next one is that is there any other issues of their is prenatal, natal, and postnatal. As we are aware of prenatal, postnatal, natal. Prenatal means before birth. That means 9 months time of conceiving, or you can say pregnancy time. In the pregnancy time, maybe some issues may be there with the mother. Those issues we have to know. We have to take the history of the prenatal. Whether the mother is having any diabetic, any BP, any stress-related issues. Those things also we are supposed to take from the patient or the caregivers, the mother of the patient. That is known as the prenatal history. Then natal history means the time of the birth, whether there is immediate birth cry or not, any problem of birth color. See, at the time of delivery, the details of his delivery we need to take in the case history. Delivery time means whether the normal delivery or any other type of delivery, like cesarean delivery, forceps delivery. So these type of information we need to get in the natal history. Okay, then birth weight, so it is underweight, low, or you can say low birth weight. NBW means normal birth weight. LBW means low birth weight. Okay, whether it is low birth weight or normal birth weight, that also we need to collect in the basis information. After low birth weight or normal weight, whether it is immediate birth cry or delay birth cry, IBC or DVC. IBC means immediate birth cry. DVC means delayed birth cry. So this also comes into this natal history of the client. Then birth color, whether it is normal birth color or some other color like light pink, which is a normal birth color. Those things we need to take in our case history. So after completion of the case history of first one is prenatal, second is this natal. Then postnatal. Postnatal means after 2 weeks of the birth, whether any jaundice, any like seizures or fits. So whether it is breastfeeding, if breastfeeding is how many months the breastfeeding is given. So what is feeding? These are the things we need to get in the postnatal history. So collecting of these all details.
Sir, we cannot see the screen properly.
Screen is no need of screen. Why am I audible or not? Let's make. Why the screen is required? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
But it is coming so fast.
I am not giving any PPT today. Just I am explaining the things. No need of any video. I think that is audible is okay. They are audible is. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
You are audible and visible both.
Yeah. In test methods, non-test methods, first one is case history. In case with full details of the case of the patient or the client, we need to take. Means the natal history of the client, natal history of the client, postnatal history of the client. Any other family-related issues also we take in this case history. So in the non-test measures, first one is case history. Second is the autobiography. So here in this case, so the patient and the client may be having some details in his own. So maybe written details. Those things also will be useful to getting the when you are getting the information from the client. So our main unit is that how we get the information from the methods of various methods of getting information from the client. Then some records may be there. Anecdotal records. These records will be there in this school-going children. The teachers keep some type of records for children. So maybe the children they are disciplined children. Any issues are there in the classroom or the school environment. Those things will be adopted by the teachers. This is known as the anecdotal records. These records also give some type of information from the client. First one is case history. Second is autobiography of the client as the patient. Third one is anecdotal records. Fourth one is rating scales. Rating scales means some statement will be given to the client. On the statement, he has to respond like means yes, no, or neutral. For example, in rating scales, the rating scales may be 3-point rating scale, 5-point rating scales, 7-point rating scales like that. In rating scales, one statement will be given to the person or individual. So he has to respond to that statement. For example, to become a rich, only education is needed, or through education only a person can be a rich person. This is the statement. So in this statement, they are supposed to respond, yes, the person is become rich only with the education. Some people may not be agree with this. So here, when you give the one statement, they are supposed to respond, the client, the person, the individual respond with 3 ratings like yes, no, or neutral, or agreed, disagreed, or neutral. So I don't know about that. So these are the different types of rating scales. Some rating scales may be 3-point rating scales like yes, no, neutral. Some may be the 5-point rating scales like agreed, most agreed, neutral, disagreed, most disagreed. So this type of rating scales also we can use when we are getting the information from the client. Then next one is the questionnaire. When you are getting the information from the patient or the caregivers, some questions will be given to the client or the patient. By responding to the questionnaire, you'll get some information. They'll respond to that questionnaire. So based on that questionnaire, you will get the information from the client. So this is also one way of getting the information from the client. After that, there are some cumulative records. These cumulative records also, generally in the school setup, in the classroom setup, they will maintain some type of cumulative records. Cumulative means, the cumulative adding the present status to the previous state, that's cumulative. Generally, these cumulative word we use in the statistical branch of mathematics. Cumulative means generally in the statistics, there may be some median, mode, arithmetic mean. In median, class interval frequency, then cumulative frequency. Cumulative means adding the previous frequency to the latest frequency, or adding the latest information to the previous information, or the latest progress of the child to the previous progress of the child. This is cumulative progress, or you can say it's a cumulative because the present status of the client, of the patient, we have to consider the previous information of the client and adding to the latest information given by the client, the person. This is nothing but cumulative records. And another information is in non-test methods is sociometry or sociogram. Sociometry means related to the person's relations, how he managed the relations with other people in the group, as I already told you from previous classes. So the individual, the client may not be in a position to mingle with others. So in this, whether he is the properly mingle with other members in the group, whether he is isolated in the society, one system is there that is known as the sociometric system. So depending on the sociometric system, how he mingling with other members of the group. That is also one type of information we get in non-test. That is called sociometric technique. Another one is that projective techniques. Projective techniques means projective means indirect projection. We discussed in our defense mechanism also. When we are discussing the previous class, we discussed in psychoanalytical theory. There are some defense mechanism. Projecting means non-direct. It's not project means indirect, non-directing. Okay. So for example, projective techniques are some types. One is Rorschach ink blot, RIBT, Rorschach ink blot test. Rorschach ink blot test. You might have learned about the Rorschach ink blot test in your previous first year. Okay. Rorschach ink blot test is one type of projective technique. In this Rorschach ink blot test, there will be some 10 cards. Some cards are the black and white cards, some are the coloring cards. We will show the patient these cards. Ink blots will be there on the cards. So in 10 cards, there are different types of pictures. Ink blots will be there. So these blots we will show to the client or the patient. He will respond with the cards. What is in his involuntary response? It is spontaneous response by seeing the card that we will note down. So depending on the response of the client, whether he is psychosis or non-psychosis, whether he is any schizophrenia, non-schizophrenia case, there is any other issues with the psychological disorders, those issues can easily identify in this diagnostic test, or you can say projective text. One projective technique is that Rorschach ink blot test. Second one is that TAT. TAT means thematic apperception test. Thematic apperception test. In this thematic, yeah.
Sir, there is lot of disturbance, sir. Echo is coming. Audio
disturbance is not matter. No, video is audio disturbance or video disturbance?
Yes, sir. Audio disturbance, sir. Lot of disturbance. Echo is coming. And lot of background disturbance.
What is that in this place? My own cabin. This is my cabin.
Maybe because of the earphones.
Okay. So some technical is already discussed. Now, how is it now?
You continue, sir, then I'll tell you.
Okay. So in this other project technique is TAT. Thematic.
Now it is fine, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, but it is fine.
Thematic appreciation test. So in this thematic approach, there are 30 cards will be given to the client. We will show him to the client. He will respond to each card. So he has to give the main person, the hero in the card, heroine in the card. One story he will say by seeing the observing the card. So this is also one type of projective technique. Projective means no direct answer. See, in the previous test methods, there will be direct question. You ask the client at in case history, in other rating scales, postmates, something like that. Whereas in this projective text, we won't ask direct whether you are good or bad, whether you have any ideas, whether you have emotion. We won't ask direct questions. The complete method of this method is depending on the indirect way of observing the client. There is no direct method in this system. That is known as the indirect method, or you can say projective techniques. This is an indirect method. So in this, that second one is, the first one is RIBT, Rorschach ink blot test. RIBT, Rorschach ink blot test. Second one is that TAT, thematic apperception test. And third one is that CAT, child perception test. Whereas in TAT, we will ask client or the patient to respond to the cards, the 30 cards we will show the client or the person. We will ask to respond, who will be there in the class, who is the main role in the particular card, what is the main theory, what is the main story in this card. Those things we will know. Depending on the response of the client, we will assess whether he is any psychological issues or not. So that is one type of project. Third one is the CAT. The difference between the TAT and CAT is TAT is for adults, whereas the CAT is for the children apperception test. The cards will be given to the children. In these cards, there will be some birds, some sceneries, some plants, like sceneries will be given. The children are below 12 years. So this they'll respond, how they respond to the cards, how they responding to each card of happy. So based on that, we will assess the children. They have any child psychosis or child schizophrenia. In schizophrenia, what type of schizophrenia? Is there any hallucinations, delusions that we will observe in this predictive technique? See, after completion of RADHA, TAT, CAT, another important predictive technique is WAT, word association test. In this word association test, we will give some sort of words. We will say some type of immediately after listening this word, they need to respond. How they respond? For example, if I say chair, their response may be to sit, or their response may be chair means some table. So how they are responding to words, some list of words will be given to the client. How they respond to each word based on the response of the client, we will assess the client. So that is also one type of getting information from the client by conducting this predictive technique of WAT, means word association test. Last one is sentence completion test. In predictive technique, other important method of getting information is sentence completion test, SCT. In the sentence completion test, they will give some sentences, but between the words of the sentences, there will be some gap. They need to complete the sentence. Sentence will be incomplete day of giving the sentences. So, but the client or the patient are supposed to complete this sentence that is known as the sentence completion test. Okay, this is also one important technique. So these are the predictive techniques. Predictive techniques means indirect way of getting information. For example, I'll give you one example. If you ask the client, you have any hallucinations, delusions, he may not be in a position to respond. If there is any clients will be in that position, they are not in a position, they may not be in a position to respond properly because their insight is very poor. So in that cases, we use this type of predictive techniques to get the information from the clients if there is any deeper psychological issues or there is any deeper emotional issues, especially the TAT and CAT is the emotional issues of any client or the patient. So these are the different ways of getting information from the client. As a psychologist, we are supposed to give this type of questions or some type of testing methods or the psychological test. But when we are when we are administrating this type of psychological, non-psychological or non-testing methods, we have to be very cautious. So non-bias should not be any subjective. Everything will be objective. How subjective, impartiality, and there are some protocol we need to follow. First one is that we are supposed to get proper training to administer test. If you want to get IQ test, we are not supposed to administer IQ test or the predictive test without any training. Training or certification is more essential when we are administrating any psychological test. Without training, without proper recognition from the RCA, Rehabilitation Council of India, we are not supposed to administer. Only the trained person, only the authenticated person is supposed to administer these type of predictive techniques or any IQ test. Okay, so these are the protocols we need to follow. And for example, if you want to conduct an IQ, like group test and individual test of an IQ. So here we have to follow some rules. We have to follow some protocol. For example, for the non-educated person, uneducated person, this is the test. For the educated person, so here whether their education, whether they're literate or illiterate, their age, their issues, these are the things we need to observe before testing or using any psychological or non-test methods. Okay, for example, if a client comes to you, you can easily observe his behavior. There are any behavioral issues. For example, I'll give one example. For example, an autistic child comes to you, For autism, there are some psychological tests. Autism is ESA. ESA. Got it? ESA is the best test to get to identify his or her autistic features. ESA means Indian Scale of Assessment for Autism. ESA. Okay. So, so these are the different tests are there for each autism or IQ test. So when the child come to you, when the patient with autism come to you, so you have to observe first. What are the main symptoms of autism? Is one is that speech delay, second is that poor eye contact, third is that not responding properly, third one is not mingling with the other peer group. These are the main symptoms in any autistic case. So first you will observe the person or the child. Some out of these four, one is speech delay. Speech only based on the speech delay, we can't say it is an autistic case. Speech delay may be in the autistic cases. Speech delay may be in the developmental delay. Speech delay may be in the CP. Speech delay may be in the DS. DS means Down syndrome. So only with one symptom we can't justify it. So it is an autistic case. So that is the reason you need to choose which is the suitable test for this particular child. If it is the child is below 3 years of age, better to go for the eye chart. Okay, eye chart test. If it is about 3 years of the child, so ESA, as I told you, ESA test. So just example I am giving, any issue of the client, first of all, we need to observe this client. For example, if you want to observe the IQ of an 8 years or 9 years boy, 8 plus or 9 plus boy of 13 years or 14 years, we need to observe whether he is able to understand what I am asking. So there are different types of IQ tests. One is BKT test is there, DST, DSN is there to find out his development quotient, to find out his social quotient. DST is there, DSN is there, Malin's test is there, then BKT is there, Veena Suresh test is there. So these are different IQ. Likewise, as I told you, in autism also there are some tests. Same way, if you want to get the information related to the IQ of a particular school going children, so which test, there are 4 or 5 tests in getting IQ. Then you want to administer the IQ of a child, you have to observe the child first, whether he is able to respond, whether he is able to respond to your questions or not. So we have to thorough knowledge of that particular test, then only it is easy to administer the test. So in this administering the test, these are all the things we need. Is his age, whether his literacy or illiterate, whether he is responding properly or not, whether you have any observations of the particular child, that also taken into consideration. Then only we have to select a test that is to be non-psychological test or psychological test. In psychological test also, there is individual test. See, I already told you there are some psychological test, individual test, group test, paper pencil test, performance test. For example, he is illiterate. We can't administer the paper pencil test. For an illiterate, it's better to go for the performance test. If there is any problem with the language, he has some speech problem like stammering, stuttering, or speech delay, we can't go for verbal test. In the cases of any language problem, better to go for the non-verbal test. Okay, in non-verbal test, only some shapes will be there. They need to fill the shapes, or they need to get some information related to the shape. So there are different issues you have to follow when you are administered any test. The test may be psychological test, or the test may be non-test to get information like cases. Then after completion of this one, there is another important topic, that is evaluation of counseling. How the evaluation is counseling. I told you, when the client comes to you, first of all, we have to get the information, and we need to observe the client, the person, with our psychological knowledge. So in the case of evaluation of any counseling process, there are main 3 methods. One is survey with approach, or you can say survey method. We'll get the information from the field. Okay. So for example, a particular field, we have to survey. The survey means demographic details. Okay. If you want to go for the outreach programs, like outside of the place, So survey is the best method. Survey approach is the best method to get the information from the client. In the evaluation process of counseling, survey method is one important. Another one is case study approach. Case study approach is the depth study of any individual patient. In case study, there are some levels, steps we have to follow. One is that personal details. We have to get personal details. Means, for example, if you want to sort out the issue related to the school-related issue, or family-related issue, or a behavioral issue, case study approach is the best way of evaluation the counseling process. In case study, there are some steps. First step, we have to get the information of the client, or the child, or the student. The information is related to the his personal information. It is the first step at the first part of the case study. Personal information means information related to his age, his color, his health status, his weight, in height. These are related to his personal information. Then second one is school related information, his age, or his class, section, okay, his interesting subject, his any issues of discipline. These are all the issues related to his school related issues. Third one is family related issues, whether the family is SCS, socioeconomic status of the family, whether it is medium socioeconomic status, upper socioeconomic status, lower socioeconomic status. This is related to family, whether the family siblings, they study, their age, the parental information like their age, parental age, whether it is a consanguineous marriage, whether it is a non-consanguineous marriage, whether it is joint family, non-joint family, or you can say extended family, single family. This is all related to the family information. In case study, when you are when you want to sort out the issue related to the case, you have to study the case in depth. That is called case study. In case study, first step is information getting from the person. Second is information getting from the school or any organization or any institution. So that is the information, the institutional information, or the school related information, or you can say education information. That is the second step. Third one is the family information related to the family. That is the third step of this case study. Fourth one is the any occupational, any issues that is related to this case. So these are the depth details, a deeper way of getting details in the case study. As I told you in your previous classes, whenever you are going to resolve some issue with a client, you have to get the proper factors, what are the causal factors of the particular issue. If you find the reasons, the root cause of the issue, half of the problem is solved. Maybe any psychological cases, this tool is applicable. This is a way of getting information to sort out any psychological issue. Case study approach. First one is the survey approach. Second is the case study approach. Third one is the experimental approach, or experimental method. In experimental method, we know there will be some variables. The variables will be, as you are aware of this, I think it's in the research method also, they may be discussed there. So in this experimental method is that it's the way we are getting the information, our evaluation of counseling. Experimental, there will be some variables. Is dependent variable, is independent variable, then intervening variables. So in experimental method, so experimental is that I will see, as we are all aware of that the first lab in psychology is established in Leipzig in Germany, that in 1879 by Wilhelm Wundt. From that era, experiments in the psychology is more advanced. So here in the experimental method, any issue, for example, if you want to observe his achievements in the class and his any other issues, emotions, for example, emotions and the achievements. So, or you can say job satisfaction and emotions. If the emotions are somewhere it is disturbing the job satisfaction, the achievement of the job. So this is the main area we need to get the information. Evaluation is in that area, you need to check it. So here in this, there is some variables. In experimental method, in experimental approach, variables are the main. Which variable you are going to choose getting the experiment. So if you want to get some experimental, if you want to follow the experimental approach, variables you have to choose. What are the variables that maybe that variable? For example, the method of teaching and the performance of the child. Method of teaching is one variable. Performance of the child is another variable. So the performance of the child is depending on the method of teaching. So here, dependent variable is the performance of the child. Independent variable is the method of teaching. Okay, so here independent variable is the method of teaching. Dependent variable is the child's progress, or you can say performance. So child progress or performance is depending on the method of teaching. So this is called, the child's progress is called dependent variable, whereas method of teaching is independent variable. But though there is a method of teaching is good, but the progress is not up to the mark. What are the reasons? Means there are some intervening variables. Intervening variables means some health issues. For example, in the particular day, the child is not, sometimes the child is not healthy. The child is having some issues in a particular day and the week. That is the reason, though the method of teaching is proper, the progress of the child is not up to the mark because of some intervening variables. So these are the variables we need to understand when we are applying in experimental method. In this experimental approach is applying the evaluation of the counseling. So we have to choose the variable, which variable you are going to study. So choosing, selecting variables is the main crucial step to this experimental approach. So here, evaluation of counseling is the main process when you are going for the counseling process. So
Sir, your voice is not clear, sir. It's breaking in between.
Now it's okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You are Veena, no? Veena Suresh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So, right. So is it audible now?
Now it's fine, sir.
Yeah. So overall, what I'm going to tell is, whenever the counseling we are going to do by any client or a patient, direct counseling, starting counseling is not that much easy. We have to get all the information related to the client and the patient. In getting the information, these are the things we have to follow. For example, I'll give one example. The child is coming to you or the patient is coming to you having some problem. So they'll spend some time when you enter into your room, when you enter into a place of counseling. They will spend some time, like, you know, that there are some sessions, any counseling, any issue of the patient, there are some sessions you have to fix. The initial section, when you are building the rapport with the client and the caregivers, some time they will spend with you in that particular area in the cabin. When they are spending some time, that is our responsibility to observe. As we know, in our psychological methods of psychology, already told you in the first class, introspection is one method. Second is observation. The observation means the spontaneous observation, or you can say natural observation. In our counseling setup, natural setup of observation is possible. So when they are there in your room, when they are there in your counseling place, when they are there in your cabin, when they are there in your situation, so better to observe when they are.
Sir, you're on mute. Sir, you're on mute.